Turkey is a country with a unique geographical position. As we have seen in the lessons, it truly is a bridge between the East and the West. For this reason, even within itself, it has quite different cultures from East to West or vice versa. The eastern part is closer to Middle Eastern culture, while the western part is closer to Balkan and European culture. In fact, all of our neighbors are societies that were under Ottoman rule at certain periods. Many of them remained under Ottoman rule for a long time until its dissolution. For this reason, we still have many commonalities with both our eastern and western neighbors today. We can see these in daily life, from food to family structure, and even in work culture. After the French Revolution, nationalist movements rose around the world. Communities that lived under the Ottoman flag for many years were also influenced by this movement and began to rebel against the Ottoman Empire. Even though the Ottoman Empire collapsed, since we are its greatest heirs, the seeds of hostility sown back then can still occasionally manifest themselves today. It's not just bad examples. Some people living in neighboring countries can also feel sympathy toward us and our country due to the bonds established throughout history. In this video by Kablosuz Dergi, we will take a closer look at what our neighbors think about Turkey and the Turks. Until the early 2000s, Greece was the neighbor with whom we had the most issues in recent history. Turkish-Greek relations were often tense and sometimes on the verge of becoming violent. In 1974, the two nations engaged in conflict over Cyprus during the Cyprus peace operation. During the 1996 Kardak crisis, tensions rose between both sides before de-escalating. A disaster led to a reduction in tension between Turkey and Greece and the establishment of better dialogues. After the August 17th earthquake, the Greeks extended a helping hand, putting the past behind and establishing relatively better relations. Alongside all these events, Greece is perhaps the country where we, as neighbors, are most similar on a human level and where we can form warm friendships when we have the opportunity for one-on-one conversations. For example, many people who go to Greece with preconceived notions can be surprised by the hospitality and warmth they encounter. The same happens with people coming here from there. Of course, it's possible to come across negative examples on both sides. Today, whatever type of person you're looking for in Turkey, you can find the same in Greece. Some say that Greeks are the version of Turks who believe in a different religion. In Greece, people are influenced by anti-Turkey propaganda from the beginning of their education. Greek teachers are often nationalistic individuals and try to influence their students in this way. They claim that Turks know nothing but war and that during the Ottoman period, areas like trade and culture were dominated by Greeks. The news about Turkey in the Greek media is always war-oriented. According to the Greek media, Turkey is always planning to take over Greece. That's why there's a saying among Greeks, "The Turks are coming." For example, if they suddenly hear a strange noise, they use this phrase. No matter how big the problems we have had or will have with all our neighbors in the past and present, we can somehow come together and establish dialogue. But Armenia is the only exception to this. It seems this situation will continue as long as the so-called genocide they claim is not accepted by the Turks. Some Armenian citizens say that this situation is related to Turkish governments and that they have no prejudice against Turks. In fact, Armenia's stance against Turkey harms themselves the most. Because on the other side, there is another Turkish state, Azerbaijan. They rely on these two countries to open up globally, but they are reluctant to do so. This is why the country's development is progressing in a very limited manner. In the mid-2000s, the Armenian side attempted to establish dialogue to break this embargo. For this, they also carried out efforts targeting Armenian citizens. In a survey conducted in their country, the number of people expressing a strictly negative opinion about Turkey had decreased from 34% to 19%. The development that surprised Armenia the most occurred after the Hrant murder. They did not expect Turks protesting this incident to show an unprecedented sympathy towards Armenians. It was observed that with these events, the contact between the two peoples also increased. Despite all this, propaganda against Turkey continues in Armenia. Even in textbooks, there are writings and illustrations mocking Turkey. The end of Armenia's occupation over Karabakh is still a very recent event, and everyone is curious about how it will reflect in the future. Armenia will either become even more rigid against Turkey or work to find a common ground again. Today, Bulgaria is perhaps the neighbor with whom we maintain the most trouble-free relations. Since the establishment of the Republic of Turkey, relations have only been strained once. Between 1984 and 1989, Communist President Todor Zhivkov initiated a policy of Bulgarization against the Turks living in Bulgaria. The names of Turks were forcibly changed to Bulgarian names. Speaking Turkish and Turkish traditions and customs were banned. Disturbed by the events, 300,000 Bulgarian Turks migrated to Turkey. With the end of communism, this policy was abandoned. The new administration allowed Turks to revert to their original names. Decisions affecting Turks were abolished. In 2012, the Bulgarian parliament condemned the assimilation policy applied to Turks during Todor Zhivkov's rule. In general, Bulgarians have positive thoughts about Turkey and Turks. Governments also see each other as friendly countries. Both sides engage in a lot of cultural and tourism exchanges with each other. The only concern they have is the current Turkish government's aggressive foreign policy. Today, approximately 600,000 Turks live in Bulgaria, making up about 9% of the population. Turkey is among Bulgaria's top 5 trading partners. The total Turkish investments in the country are around $2 billion. The Iranian people generally have respect for Turkey. What they like most about Turkey is that it is a wonderful holiday paradise. Turkey is the #1 tourism destination for Iranians today. Many Iranians dream of coming to Turkey for a seaside vacation, shopping, and cultural tourism. According to Iranians, Turkey is their strongest and most modern neighbor, and they prefer it over many countries around them. They think we are more civilized than all of them. The topic of Iran falling behind Turkey is very commonly encountered in daily conversations. Especially for the educated segment, Turkey is a strong symbol. The fact that we are both secular and Muslim is what they envy the most. According to their claim, if the Islamic Revolution hadn't happened, they would have been the same way. They say that Turks do not know themselves or their country and are even prejudiced. Still, they think that Turks are the people most similar to Iranians in the world. But according to them, they acknowledge that our family ties are stronger and that Turkish people are generally more loyal to each other. However, they find it strange that our understanding of Islam is different. According to them, you either believe in something or you don't. But they say that Turks only follow the rules they like when it comes to faith. The biggest issue causing problems between Turkey and Iran is the South Azerbaijan issue. After the Russo-Iranian War in the early 1800s, part of Azerbaijan remained under Iran's control. Today, approximately 30 million Azerbaijani Turks live here. The greatest dream of the Turkish people on both sides is the unification of South Azerbaijan with today's Azerbaijan. Allegations that the governments and people in Iran practice racism against Azerbaijani Turks always come up. The Syrians consider themselves as part of the Ottoman Empire. Since Turkey's establishment, several issues have emerged, with the Hatay crisis being the first. Later, with the start of the construction of the Karakaya Dam, water-related tensions arose. In the 1990s, Syria backed separatist terror groups, nearly leading to conflict with Turkey over terrorism. A common ground was found with the Adana Agreement in 1998. After this agreement, the leader of the separatist terrorist organization was forced to leave Syria. From the 2000s until relations broke off in 2011, the two countries perhaps experienced their closest times. The ties were severed with the Syrian civil war. The perspective of Syrians towards Turkey became fragmented after the civil war. Today, nearly 6 million Syrians live in our country. What they think about us is quite different from what those living in Damascus think. We will focus more on a Damascus-centered perspective. These are also supporters of the current government in Syria. The Syrian people state that what is happening today is between governments and that these are temporary. They still have respect for Turkey and the Turks. There are many people dreaming of coming to Turkey after the war ends. Before the war, they thought Turkey was a good model for them. The detail they complain about the most regarding Turkey is that President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has turned Turkey's Western-oriented face towards the Middle East, and they say this has harmed both countries. Before the war, Turkish songs, Turkish series, and Turkish movies had captivated all of Syria. Aziz Nesin and Doğan Cüceloğlu's books are still on the list of most read books. Although Iraq is behind Syria in today's news coverage, it experienced a major civil war, and the effects of this war are still ongoing. Turkey's biggest expectation from Iraq is to resolve the issues as soon as possible and to eliminate the terrorist organizations targeting Turkey promptly. Iraq has three main ethnic groups: Shias, Kurds, and Sunnis. Each of them has a quite different perspective on Turkey. The Sunnis feel the closest to us. However, among the Kurds, the number of those expressing positive views towards Turkey is also quite high. An American research company conducted a survey across Iraq. One of the questions in the survey was what they thought about Turkey. 43% of Iraqis expressed a positive opinion, while 48% expressed a negative opinion. In the same survey, they stated that Turkey is the country that could contribute the most to Iraq, especially in terms of economy and security. Although Syrians have come to the forefront, a significant number of Iraqi refugees live in Turkey. Georgia, along with Azerbaijan, is our neighbor with whom we have maintained relations without any problems to date. Since Georgia declared its independence in the 90s, we have established close relations from that day to today. Turkey provides military and political support to Georgia. It always supports it in international matters as well. For this reason, Turkey is indispensable for Georgians. Since 2007, we have been the largest trading partner. Geographically, we are Georgia's gateway to the world. For our neighbors, Georgia is the only country we can visit without a visa, even without a passport. Georgian citizens say that good relations are a necessity because of trade. Some even call this a cold peace. Nevertheless, they view the Turkish people more positively than their other neighbors. They say that the Turkish people are very hardworking and obedient. They also add that Georgians themselves do not like being so obedient. As in many countries, Turkish television series are popular in Georgia as well, and these productions help spread positive opinions. Due to Nakhchivan, Azerbaijan is a country with which we share a land border. As we all know, Azerbaijan is a Turkish state, and thanks to our Azerbaijani brothers, they watch this channel. I will leave the words to them on this matter. Azerbaijani friends, please write in the comments what you think about Turkey. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.